Have you ever noticed that your dog doesn't always fall asleep the moment the lights go out? Instead, they glance toward the hallway, lift their head at the smallest sound, or quietly move closer to wherever you are, as if they're waiting for one final signal before they can truly relax. It's easy to think they're just looking for a comfortable spot. But what if they're actually waiting for you? Not for another treat. Not for one more game. Not even for a walk. They're waiting for something much more powerful, something that speaks directly to the part of their brain that decides whether tonight feels safe or uncertain. And here's the surprising part. Behavior researchers have found that dogs don't simply respond to what we do. They respond to how we do it. Our voice, our breathing, our body language, even the rhythm of our movements can influence how secure they feel around us. That means the last few minutes before bedtime may shape your dog's emotional state more than most owners ever realize. Tonight, I want to show you a simple nighttime ritual inspired by what we know about canine behavior, communication, and trust. None of it is expensive. None of it takes very long. Yet together, these small moments can strengthen your bond in ways that many people overlook. Because sometimes love isn't measured by how much we give our dogs during the day. It's measured by how peacefully they fall asleep beside us at night. Think about your own evenings for a second. The day is finally over. The house becomes quieter. Conversations fade. Screens begin to turn off. The entire atmosphere slowly changes. Your dog notices every bit of it. Their world is built around patterns. They don't wear watches or check calendars. Instead, they learn life through repeated experiences. The sound of your footsteps, the way you place your keys on the table, the click of the bedroom door, even the moment you let out a long sigh after a busy day. To us, these actions barely seem important. To your dog, they're pieces of a familiar story. And when that story always ends with safety, affection, and calm, something incredible begins to happen. Instead of wondering what comes next, your dog starts anticipating comfort. That anticipation is powerful. Imagine a child hearing the same bedtime story every night. Long before the final page, they already know they're safe, loved, and protected. Dogs build similar emotional associations. When evenings become predictable and peaceful, their brains stop preparing for surprises and begin preparing for rest. But here's where many loving owners accidentally make bedtime more stressful than relaxing. After a busy day, we often rush through the final moments. We answer one last message, turn lights on and off, walk quickly from room to room, speak louder than we realize. Maybe we're thinking about tomorrow's work before today's stress has even left our minds. Our dogs may not understand those thoughts, but they absolutely notice the energy behind them. Dogs are remarkably skilled at reading human emotions. Studies suggest they can recognize changes in facial expressions, body posture, and vocal tone, often responding differently depending on whether we appear calm, tense, or excited. In other words, your emotional state quietly becomes part of their environment. That's why the first step has nothing to do with touching your dog at all. It starts with changing the atmosphere around both of you. Before saying goodnight, pause for just a moment. Sit somewhere comfortable. Put your phone down. Let the room become still. Take one slow breath through your nose. Then breathe out even more slowly. Not because your dog understands breathing exercises, but because they understand you. When your shoulders relax, when your movements slow, when your voice becomes softer, your dog receives a message without a single word being spoken. Nothing exciting is happening anymore. Nothing dangerous seems to be nearby. The pack can finally rest. Watch closely the next time you do this. Many dogs respond in subtle ways. Their ears soften. Their blinking slows. Their muscles loosen. Some stretch across the floor. Others curl up against your feet. A few simply let out one long, satisfying sigh. It almost looks as if someone flipped an invisible switch. But that isn't magic. It's communication. And once that quiet conversation begins, your dog becomes much more open to something even deeper. Because the next few gentle moments can transform an ordinary bedtime into one of the strongest trust-building experiences you share every single day. The beautiful thing is that trust isn't built during extraordinary moments. It's built during ordinary ones that happen over and over again. And one of the simplest ways to strengthen that trust is through the kind of touch your dog naturally understands. We often show affection the way we enjoy receiving it. A few quick scratches behind the ears, an enthusiastic pat on the side, a playful rub before saying good night. There's nothing wrong with those gestures during the day. But bedtime is different. Now your dog's brain isn't looking for excitement. It's looking for reassurance. Instead of fast movements, try slowing everything down. Place your hand gently on the side of your dog's neck or shoulder, not to restrain them, but simply to let them feel your presence. Wait a few seconds. Don't rush to pet them. Let them decide whether they want to lean closer. This tiny pause matters more than many people realize. Dogs communicate through choice. When your dog voluntarily moves into your hand instead of pulling away, they're doing more than asking for affection. They're showing trust. And trust grows strongest when it isn't forced. Once they settle beside you, begin using long, slow strokes that follow the direction of their fur. Notice how different this feels from playful petting. There's no hurry, no excitement, just a calm rhythm, almost like gentle waves reaching a quiet beach. Many dogs naturally lower their head during slow strokes. Others close their eyes for a second before opening them again. Some will quietly press their body against your leg without making a sound. These small responses are easy to miss, but together they tell an incredible story. Your dog is saying, "I feel comfortable here." There's another fascinating reason this works. Physical touch isn't just about contact. It's also about predictability. When your movements are slow and consistent, your dog never has to guess what comes next. That predictability reduces uncertainty, and for many animals, less uncertainty often means less stress. Think about meeting someone who constantly startles you with sudden movements. Even if they're friendly, you'd stay alert. Now imagine someone whose movements are calm, gentle, and easy to read. You naturally relax around them. Dogs experience something remarkably similar. That's why experienced trainers often move more slowly than beginners. Calm behavior creates calm responses. Now here's something that surprises many owners. The best place to observe your dog's health isn't necessarily during playtime. It's during peaceful moments like this. As your hands move gently over their shoulders, chest, ribs, and sides, you're becoming familiar with what feels normal. Not because you're performing a medical exam, simply because you're paying attention. You might notice if your dog suddenly seems uncomfortable when you touch one area. Perhaps they hesitate before lying down. Maybe one shoulder feels unusually tense. Or you discover a small bump that wasn't there a few weeks ago. None of these observations automatically means something is seriously wrong. But noticing changes early gives you the opportunity to discuss them with your veterinarian if needed. Many owners discover skin growths, sore muscles, tangled fur, or irritated areas during quiet cuddle sessions, not because they were searching for problems, but because they had created a habit of gentle awareness. It's one of the rare moments where affection and observation naturally happen at the same time. Your dog thinks they're receiving love, and they are. But you're also learning the unique language of their body. Every healthy dog has a normal rhythm, a familiar texture to their coat, a comfortable way of moving. The better you know that normal, the easier it becomes to recognize when something changes. And speaking of change, there's one signal that owners often overlook because it happens so quietly. Your dog's breathing. Not the loud panting after a game of fetch. The peaceful breathing that happens when they're finally ready to sleep. Listen carefully. As relaxation deepens, breaths often become slower, softer, and more regular. Sometimes you'll even notice a tiny twitch of the paws or whiskers as they drift toward dreaming. Those little movements remind us of something extraordinary. While we're thinking about tomorrow's meetings, errands, or responsibilities, our dogs are ending their day with one simple conclusion. I'm safe. Not because they checked the locks. Not because they understood tomorrow's plans. But because the person they trust most stayed close until the day was over. And that feeling of security becomes even stronger when one final bedtime habit quietly reinforces everything you've already communicated. It's a habit that doesn't involve expensive products or complicated training. In fact, it's something your dog has relied on since the very beginning of their life. And once you understand why it matters, you'll probably never look at bedtime the same way again. That final habit begins with something your dog has trusted long before they understood a single word you ever said. Sin. While we experience the world mostly through our eyes, dogs experience it through their noses. Every room tells a story. Every blanket holds memories. Every familiar scent answers an important question. Am I home? That's why many dogs instinctively choose to sleep near your shoes, your side of the bed, or even a pile of freshly worn clothes. It isn't because those things are valuable. To your dog, they're reassuring. They carry the scent of the person they trust most. If your dog sleeps in their own bed or crate, consider placing a clean but recently worn t-shirt or lightweight blanket nearby. There's no need to do anything fancy. Just something that naturally carries your familiar scent. For many dogs, that quiet reminder is enough to make an unfamiliar corner feel like part of the family. Of course, every dog is different. Some want to curl up right beside you. Others prefer their own space. The goal isn't to convince your dog to sleep in a certain place. It's to help wherever they already choose to rest feel calm, familiar, and secure. Then comes something surprisingly simple. Your voice. Dogs may not understand every sentence we say, but they become incredibly good at recognizing patterns. The same gentle words, spoken in the same calm tone, night after night, soon become more than language. They become a signal that today's adventures are over, that nothing more is expected, that everyone they love is safe. Maybe your bedtime phrase is, "Sleep well, buddy," "Good night, my friend," or simply, "Time to rest." The exact words matter far less than the consistency behind them. Over time, those familiar sounds become another comforting part of the evening routine. Think about your favorite song. Sometimes hearing only the first few notes instantly changes your mood. Dogs create similar emotional associations. Only instead of music, they're listening for you. One calm sentence spoken with kindness may become one of the most familiar sounds in their entire life. Now picture everything coming together. The house has gone quiet. Your phone is finally out of your hands. You sit beside your dog without rushing. Your breathing slows. Your movements become gentle. Your dog leans against your leg. You softly stroke their shoulders and back. You naturally notice that their coat feels healthy, their body feels comfortable. Everything seems normal. You smile. Say your familiar goodnight words. Turn off the light. And leave the room knowing your best friend feels completely at peace. It doesn't take 30 minutes. It doesn't require expensive products. It isn't about creating the perfect bedtime. It's about creating a predictable one. Because predictability often becomes comfort. And comfort grows into trust. Here's something worth remembering. Your dog will probably never remember the toy you bought 6 months ago. They won't remember how expensive their bed was. They won't care whether your home looked perfect. But they may remember, in the way dogs remember, that every single night, someone chose to make them feel safe. That's the kind of memory that quietly shapes a lifetime of trust. When researchers study the relationship between people and dogs, one idea appears again and again. Strong bonds aren't built through grand gestures. They're built through repeated positive experiences. Tiny moments, shared consistently, day after day, year after year. That's the real secret. Not a single magical trick. Not one miracle technique. Just hundreds of peaceful evenings that slowly tell your dog, you belong here. You are protected. You never have to face the night alone. And perhaps that's one of the greatest gifts we can ever give them. Because our dogs spend their entire lives offering loyalty without keeping score. They celebrate ordinary days as if they're holidays. They forgive us when we're busy. They wait patiently at the door. They somehow find reasons to love us even on the days we don't feel our best. So maybe tonight, before rushing through another bedtime, pause for a few extra minutes. Take one slow breath. Sit beside your dog. Offer calm instead of hurry. Presence instead of distraction. You might think you're simply ending another day, but from your dog's perspective, you could be giving them the safest moment they'll experience all week. And years from now, when you think back on your time together, it probably won't be the expensive gifts or perfect photos you'll remember most. It will be these quiet evenings, the the peaceful silence, the gentle tail wag, the sleepy eyes growing heavier, the warm head resting against your leg. Moments that seemed so ordinary, until one day you realized they were the moments that mattered most. If this reminded you to slow down and enjoy those little bedtime moments with your dog, I'd love to hear about your own nightly routine. Does your dog have a favorite bedtime habit or a funny ritual they never skip before falling asleep? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire another dog owner around the world. And if you enjoy thoughtful, science-inspired videos that help you understand your dog's mind and strengthen the bond you share, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Until next time, give your best friend an extra gentle good night from all of us, because to them, home isn't just a place. Home is the person they trust enough to fall asleep beside.